Please welcome to the stage Eyal Elazar with Riskified.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me okay? Excellent. I hope you're enjoying yourself. I know I am. Today, I'm very excited to talk to you about a topic that I find personally fascinating, policy abuse. I've actually talked to many of you in the last couple of days and probably in the last couple of years about this topic. Everyone has a different opinion about it. Everyone has a different definition of success. So I really want to start with the end in mind here. Blocking 10 times more claims. Do you think that this is a definition of success? When you're thinking about solving this challenge, is this a good indication? Let's do a show of hands. I'll pretend like I can see anything beyond these lights. Who here thinks this is a good outcome? Okay. Anyone here thinks it's a bad outcome? Okay. So I guess most of you are not really sure. And that's fair because this is actually a trick question. But I do think that many of us are looking at this and this is what we see. We see how many claims we can actually block, how much we're saving. But success is way more than that. Because what you don't see sometimes matters even more. Because for this specific case, what you don't see is that on top of this, they actually managed to improve their service level. They have same-day response to customers instead of next week. By the way, they have less INR chargebacks as a result. They have lower insult rates, meaning good customers are getting the service they need. They're not being insulted for nothing. And they have less abusive claims altogether. They successfully managed to have bad abusers not try to take advantage in the first place. And they have great collaboration between their teams, the fraud team and the CX team. So this is what it means, at least to me, doing it right. And my goal today is help you rethink this challenge and really try to understand what does it mean to solve it right. So let's redefine the challenge. Last year, for those of you who were last year in Ascend, we had our yearly research where we tried to understand the dilemma you're all facing. And this is what we saw last year. 93% of merchants understand that they have to have great policies. That's something, it's just a must. But 90% are saying that the costs are getting unbearable. So we understood that dilemma, and this year we decided to go slightly deeper. We issued a new survey, our 2024 Returns and Refunds Abuse Report. We surveyed over 500 different directors from large e-commerce merchants across the world, and we tried to understand a little bit more of, okay, what is the challenge? What are actually people doing about it? By the way, there's a QR code here, or we'll have it at the end if you want to register and get this report the minute it's ready. So we saw different numbers, and like Tracy mentioned earlier, it's really hard to quantify. But it's at least $100 billion problem. And what we found is that despite that, only 30% of the merchants that were in our survey actually are implementing preventive strategies. It makes no sense. So we looked into data a little bit more. And two things that came up. 76% are saying that the volume and the complexity is just getting unbearable. It's just really hard to solve. 66% said that even when they try, sometimes they don't have the internal collaboration in their teams to do something about it. Maybe fraud prevention is saying one thing, customer service are saying another, and it's hard to get an agreement. It's hard to understand, like, what is truth? So what do we see a lot of merchants doing? What they're doing is taking 2 steps back. And this is mainstream media. We see a lot of merchants out there starting to charge return fees, shipping fees, restocking fees. And this is a shame because they're basically ruining a lot of the things that they work so hard to build. Think about it. They invested a lot of money, a lot of effort in building the brand loyalty, the connection. We just heard Srini talk about the connection that you have with your customers. And after building that loyalty, building your brand, once you start seeing the losses, you just ruin it, and you ruin it for everyone. And the problem is, you ruin it for everyone because of a handful of bad people. Why am I saying handful of bad people? Let me show you. This is actually an actual case that we found with one of our merchants. Our machine learning engine managed to detect that only 0.2% of the customers were in charge of 12% of the losses. Think about that, 0.2% only. And now, every time that someone comes to me and wants to talk about policy, they always start with, my wife, my daughter, myself, we buy 5 items, we keep 1, and we return 4. What would you do with me? And that's a fair question. But at the end of the day, I don't think you or your spouse or your kids are fraudsters, unless you're probably in the wrong profession. But you can, in a click of a button, prevent 12% of the losses tomorrow. So before you try to handle that gray zone of what do we do with edge cases, you can get 12% savings tomorrow without having to punish 99.8% of your customers. By the way, after you solve this, solving the gray zone gets way easier. But if we want to talk about how to solve it right, I want to invite a close personal friend of mine. She is in the fraud business for over 20 years, 6 of them dealing with policy. She won Titan of E-commerce, PACE Setter of the Year, NRF Merchant of the Year, and she's also a personal friend of mine. I would like to welcome Dajana on stage. Thank you for joining us. So you and I have been talking about this for at least 3 years, just us. And you've been at it for 6. How did you get started with policy? And after 6 years of doing it, what have you learned? What's at stake here?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me, and thank you, Riskified, for organizing yet another amazing event. So I have been in fraud, as you said, over 20 years, and my entire goal is always to observe end-to-end customer journey and transaction lifecycle on the site and see where are the risk gaps. So back in 2018, as you mentioned, we were tasked with analyzing why are we getting so many reports of merchandise not received. So I received about 8 months worth of data, and what you showed in your previous slide was exactly what I've seen right away without doing any analysis at all. How can you simply have that many packages not delivered? I mean, then your carrier is obviously doing a horrible job, but we knew that was not the case. So we just started doing simple trend analysis and discovered that there are multiple customers doing these requests over and over again. They're asking multiple returns in different ways. So we knew we had a gap, and we knew that this was a risk. So we started doing more of an analysis, started adopting processes, and changed the systems to be able to address this.
And when you think about what's at stake, we all talk about the monetary loss, but what else is there?
A lot. As in fraud in general, it's not just about that chargeback. And we all know that from the chargeback rate, you can recover. You can recover financially. You can potentially even win that chargeback. So financial side, I don't want to say it's an easy side, it's super important, but reputational is a bigger problem. And then we also have organization impact that it's not even monitored, measured, and it's not always even fully understood. We do have, for example, customer service workload is increasing because you're having an increase of these claims. Fraud numbers are also being impacted. Tracy mentioned friendly fraud earlier, but that's only one side of this policy abuse. The other side is claims that you get within your customer service. And then also you have your marketing team that are essentially spending marketing money to the customers that are not good and customers you really don't want to invest in. So it does impact multiple teams within the organization, but it's not measured, it's not tracked, and it's not calculated properly, so it's often missed. And it's often written off as an operational cost, a cost of doing business.
There's a term that you use quite often, which I like, and I took that and used that myself, calling policy abuse a monster of our own creation. So let's talk a little bit about that. Why is it a monster of our own creation? Why is it so easy to commit, and why is it so hard for merchants to solve?
I think that goes back to one of your slides as well, how merchants are now going backwards, trying to put some of these return fees and restocking fees and so on. I think in the beginning we tried to make it too easy. But there is a huge competition out there between e-commerce sites. So in the beginning, if you all remember, and I am old enough to remember when e-commerce first started, don't get this Mediterranean look fool you. But I remember it used to be you can call in and ask for the return label, you pay $4 or $5, we send it to you, you send it back. Then it was, you don't have to pay for it, just give us a call, we'll send it to you. Then it was, here it is in a package, you don't even have to call, it's already sent to you, so we're kind of giving you an idea, here's what you can do. And then I think you guys all know that it went even a step further. You don't even have to have return label, you don't even have to return it. All you have to do is call, keep your item, we'll give you a return. I think monster was created. So did we create a monster? No. We were just trying to create an exceptional customer experience. We were trying to be competitive and make sure we do provide that good experience to the customer. But fraudsters, as always, are opportunists. They were just waiting for this, and of course, they jumped on it. And I think Tracy also mentioned earlier, 3% or more is the return fraud. So just think about what your chargeback rate right now is. Your return fraud is probably 3 times more. You're most likely not tracking it correctly if you don't think you have it. Like Tracy again said, if you don't think you have fraud, good for you, but you're probably not looking well. But it is not talked enough in organization, first of all, because I believe it's written off as an organizational cost of doing business. But also, when it comes to chargebacks, we have Visa, we have MasterCard, they kind of monitor you. They send you these nice little letters and warnings if you cross over the certain threshold. There isn't monitoring for refund losses, not internally, not externally. So I think sometimes that also flies under the radar. There are also organized groups, refunding services, mentioned earlier, and we're going to mention it again, that are making this super complex for us because they're investigating our systems and processes. They even contact your internal employees and try to get some ways of how to do this faster and better. And then it is easy to abuse system because I'm going to tell you something. Most of the merchants do have return policy. They do not have refund policy. And that was something I also discovered, that we had, hey, you have 90 days to return something, but we did not have, hey, you have 90 days to claim package not being received. So I started receiving packages claims that were 280 days old, and customer service does not have an insight into this. And another layer of that is customer service teams are there to provide service to the customer. They're not risk teams, they're not fraud teams, they're not supposed to be. So they often don't see these trends, they often don't see these issues and these problems. But again, that's not what they're there to see. So I believe that we do have to have more of a risk-based approach to this, because if it's 3 times higher than your chargeback cost, obviously it's a risk. And again, it is impacting everyone in the organization. It is impacting your bottom line, of course, but the performance of all departments. You're spending marketing money where you're not supposed to, where you shouldn't. You have customer service team that have huge number of claims that they have to work on. And then fraud, of course, is always trying to scramble and put some fixes in place, and it's not always working. So it's definitely having a heavy impact on the organization.
So you mentioned a little bit about the approach. You've been at it for 6 years. most of us are talking about in the last, I think, 2 or 3 years. You learned a lot. Looking back at those 6 years, you and I kind of talked before the session, and you explained what are the stages that we need to take. Because a lot of people are giving you, you have to do this and this and this and this and that, and that's fantastic. You have to do all of it, but you have to start somewhere. So let's talk a little bit about how you would lay out that plan.
So first of all, measuring, and I think this is like any fraud. And what's also very interesting to see, if you're talking about refund fraud or policy abuse in general, what are the characteristics you see? They're getting money, they're doing illegal activity, or maybe not illegal, just not allowed activity. They are trying to abuse your systems. They are trying to get something and not pay for it. So essentially, it has same characteristics as the payment fraud. So why aren't we doing the same thing that we're doing for the payment fraud? So measuring is most important. Like I said, a lot of organizations are not measuring it properly. You can only see how many requests you get and how many refunds you issued. But what is your operational cost in a warehouse? For shipping, for maybe potentially processing these claims, what is the cost of the marketing? What is the cost that is associated with this outside of just being a lost product and outside of just that refund? So costs are huge. So measuring this properly and tracking this properly. A next thing that is super important, and what I found is missing in many, many cases, is categorizing these refund claims. We know Bob wrote a book. By the way, if you do need Bob's refunding book, if you need a copy, I can send you one. It's not the newest one, but I can definitely share with you. And feel free to click on a link. It's not spam or scam or any fraudulent link. I will not collect your information. But categorizing appropriately, and I actually learned from Bob. He is a man of my dreams. Now I dream a lot about him. But I learned a lot from the way he was doing things. So whatever he was posting in this book, that's what I would go back into our systems and try to fix it and capture some of this information. It went even as far as training customer service team that is taking these claims over the phone. Like, if you hear this word, if you hear that word, track it, send it to me. I think also, Tracy, I'm sorry I'm mentioning you so many times, but you had so many good points. But she also talked about systems not talking to one another. Process in the warehouse was not talking to the process in customer service. So we tie that together. If you receive a package that does not have any information on it, if you receive tracking that is completely removing, has the personalized information removed, go ahead and send it to us. Track it somewhere in this sheet. It was a simple Excel sheet that our customer service has access to. So if somebody sent a Tide detergent or army soldiers, they knew about it. So we kind of closed that gap. But knowing what are they saying to you? Are they saying it's an empty box? Are they saying I ordered 2 but received 1, and they ordered Air Jordan and socks and received socks but didn't receive shoes? Are they saying we returned the box to you, but it shows that it's received, but it's never made it to our warehouse? So we started using their claims and their reasons to track it in the same way. That actually allows us to monitor them throughout the entire process and make sure they don't fly under the radar. Because if I'm monitoring only did not receives, tomorrow they call in and say, I got 1, I didn't get the other one. So they fly under the radar, they get missed. So we were trying to categorize it just to understand exactly where the problem is. And I do have to say, out of the total number of refund requests we had, there was a portion that was porch pirates. But simply, if we simply had that many porch pirates in the United States, we have different issue. Then we also had a problem where merchandise it was not delivered. So it was a carrier problem. So this categorizing helped me understand where are the porch pirates, where is the carrier issue, and where is the actual abuse, so that I could focus on specifically on the abuse and let other teams worry about the other side of product theft. There are several, I think I had 4 categories. You can, of course, create as many categories as it works for you, depending on the product. Is it a physical good? Is it a digital good? You can create the category, whatever works for you, and then having the right tool to do the assessment. So it is interesting, way back when we started, how we did it, but just having the right tools to be able to ingest all of this information. And Riskified at that time had all of our order information already. So it was a kind of a natural progression to me to say, hey, you see all of this already. What else do you see? Here are the refunds, here are the returns. What else do you see? So I think that's how all of this started, but having those right tools to be able to authenticate this identity or entity, to be able to tie them together, and to be able to eliminate where is the refunding services, where is the mom, child, husband, whatever, that is just wanting to return an item, and where is your legitimate customers who are truly not receiving their product, and what can you do to help them?
So I want to touch on the last 2 points, the categorization and the tools. Going back to the 0.2% that we found. And also what Tracy mentioned earlier, it's so important to understand who you're dealing with. With categorization, you also need to really categorize the different perps that you're working with. And you heard Jeff share some of our insights in the previous session, and also in the first day. And this is what they found from the dark web. And I think it's so important to understand that. You mentioned that a lot of merchants are looking at it as a service issue. You have to understand that this is organized crime at hand here. These are people that are fraudsters, and a lot of them just found an easier way to get money. And when we look at the dark web, and it's not only the dark web, it's even on Telegram, so everyone has access to it. We see these refund services. We see professional abusers. We see people training other people. So I just think that this is something you have to have when you're in the top of your mind, when you're going to solve this challenge.
It is so funny, during COVID in 2020, we've seen on Telegram app these refunding services posting information and saying to their clients, just put the note on the door that you have COVID so they wouldn't ask for signature, and then signature kind of dropped off anyways. Or put the sign on the door that you broke your leg, you just had surgery, so you can't come to the door. So I know I even heard that some people went as far as painting their porch, so if the Amazon took the picture, you couldn't... I haven't seen that one, but I heard that one. So it is funny how far they went, but it's a very elaborate scheme. I mean, they obviously know, and I know there are some of these spreadsheets that were circling around saying, if you want this company, this is the limit, this is what you need to say. If you want a company B, this is what you need to say, this is your limit that you can request. So even they offered the good prices. So I think what this did, and Telegram, what it did, I wouldn't even know how to go on the dark web and do stuff. But Telegram is easy. You download it, you search for refunding services. There are tons of groups in there right now. If you want to do it, you can do it right now. So it was easy, it was accessible, and I think that made it a great opportunity for everyone to do it. But also Telegram helped us learn a lot. And I think what's another thing that I haven't mentioned before, it's not illegal to claim you didn't receive your package. And when you get a refund, if somebody is filing a lawsuit against you, you can just say, hey, I got it later, sorry. While it is illegal to commit fraud and use someone else's credit card or use someone else's identity. So I think these great lawsuits that are happening right now are bringing more light to this issue and making it maybe more illegal. But at this point, it's not. So that's what it made it so easy and, I guess, justifiable, if that's a word.
So again, you've been at it for a while. Let's talk about success. I asked you in the beginning what success should look like. Let's see what success actually looked like. I think that you kind of have everything here between the detection, the collaboration, the service level, the manual work. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think definitely you need sophisticated tools to be able to complete some of this work, like the tool we're using, like Riskified. But what was very interesting for me to see is as soon as we started analyzing this data into more depth and more detail, about 20% of orders were determined to be fraudulent. So that tells you that about 20% of orders or refunds we were able to decline right away, so our customer service team didn't have to look into it. And there were some great customers in there that were positive, good, with good history, so we kind of determined they're good customers. So not only were we stopping fraudsters, we were also improving good customer experience. Because I'm not sure how many of you here request police report when the product is not delivered. We used to do it, I know Amazon used to do it. So we would ask the customer to send us a police report. All police reports look different. There is no way for me to validate that this is truly a good police report. I have no way of confirming that. So what we did, we changed a little bit of strategy there. We don't have to have police report anymore. We have this tool that is analyzing all of it for us. So it was definitely a great improvement. It was speeding up the service to the good customer. It was eliminating fraud really fast. Returns dropped, return requests immediately dropped for 20%, and then there were even further improvements. And we also made change to our policy online, and then chargebacks dropped as well. So it was an overall impact to the company's bottom line.
Thank you, Dajana. So yeah, you've been using our policy product from day one. So let's talk a little bit about the solution. I'm really excited to have Oren, our director of product, on stage to share more about our solution and unveil our latest layer of defense against policy. Oren, come join us.
Hi, everyone. Wow, it's so great to be here and see so many familiar faces. I hope you're having fun. For those of you who I didn't get to meet yet, so hi, my name is Oren. I'm Director of Product at Riskified, and I'm overseeing the post-fulfillment products. It includes Dispute, which was shown to you by Alon and Jeff earlier today, and of course, policy. And to tell you the truth, I'm really excited because in a few minutes, I'm going to reveal to you the recent developments that our teams have been doing in the realm of policy, which I truly believe will take our Policy Protect solution to the next level. And you know, I couldn't have said it better than Dajana here. Policy is a crucial problem for our merchants to solve. And to be honest, it is also one of the more complex problems. There is basically no silver bullet solution for this problem. And the reason is because it's one of those problems that are multi-layered. That is why we at Riskified decided to approach it using layers of technology. And I will explain what that means. Let's have a look at this example. What do you see? Basically, what most of our merchants will see is a very simplistic picture. 4 distinct customers, allegedly unrelated to each other. Each one has its own history of orders, regular order value. You would probably vet, no abuse. However, the picture that we will see is likely to be much different, and that is thanks to our technology layers. Starting off with our identity resolution engine, the one that Shachar mentioned here yesterday, this technology enables us to interconnect between different accounts in the network and resolve the hidden identity behind them. So for us, from that moment on, it's no longer 4 distinct customers. It's one person, Casey Houston, which we are going to track. So Houston, you have a problem. So how do we vet if there is really abuse, if Casey Houston is really doing bad things? For that, we are utilizing our second layer, and that is our risk evaluation engine. This is basically a set of super powerful machine learning models trained over millions of historical data points and that are trained to detect abuse of any kind. With these 2 technologies involved, the final picture is likely to be much different. As a matter of fact, our machine learning capabilities are so strong that we are even able to detect abuse on first-time customers. Imagine how strong is that. But let me tell you something. This is all great. And I know that the machine learning and the identity resolution combined really set clarity on the abusive picture in your domains. But the truth is, nothing of this is new. These capabilities have been inherent within our policy solution for a few years now. And the truth is, we've been getting great feedback and appreciation from our existing merchants about the insights that we're able to give them. So what else do we need? What is missing? I will tell you what's missing. We at Riskified believe, and I'm sure that everyone will agree with me, that no one knows your business better than you do. No one knows the customer better than the merchant himself. No one knows your data better than you do. But you know what? Up until now, you had no way to elevate and reflect this knowledge within your own custom policy. So what is missing here is some tool or capability for you to have more flexibility and sense of control over your policy and leverage all of your knowledge into your rules. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is exactly what we have built and what I'm going to present to you. So I'm honored to introduce you to policy decisions. But you know what? I didn't travel all the way from Tel Aviv to just show you slides, so let's dive into the right thing. Meet policy decisions. This is basically a suite of tools that are designed in order for you to do everything related to building your own custom policies. It is covering all of the important use cases, from item limit, launches, promos, to refunds and returns. And it even allows you to decide what is the touch point of your policy, be it at the claim time or the checkout. Now, I will pause it for a minute and let it sink. This is a very important milestone. From that point on, the policy solution is not a black box. Now you are participants in the game. You are the leaders in the game, because you now have the capability not only to view the policies that are active on your domain, but also to create your own custom policies and bring in all of your knowledge and business data into those policies so that at any point in time, your policies are optimized to your business case. Now let me show you how it's done. We have created a slick and simple tool for you to create your own policy. Whenever you create a custom policy rule, our inherent capabilities of identity resolution and machine learning are built in within your rule. That is already making it very powerful. However, in addition to that, you can add your own business flavor by adding conditional clauses onto the custom policy. For that, we have disclosed a rich set of features and attributes from our machine learning and data world so that you can build your own conditional clauses. Here, for example, you see that we took use of the order count, the claim amount, the account age, and network claims in order to decline first-time abusers. Okay, this is great. Now we basically implemented a hybrid approach where we utilize both our machine learning and identity resolution capabilities with your own business flavor. Together, it will make your custom policy optimized and super powerful to deal with all of the abuse in your place. Okay, what else do we need? We need the stability. It is very important, it is crucial for you to have full confidence in the policy rule that you are creating. So for that, we added in a simulation capability. All you need to do is to set a time frame so that you'll be able to test your custom policy against your own data that resides within our database. And then the simulation process will start flowing. The next thing you will do, you will be able to control the risk level of your custom policy by using this slick slider and decide what the threshold is. Once pressing simulate, an on-the-fly analysis will run against your own data with the policies that you created, and the result will be a very rich dashboard that will show you everything you need to know about the performance of your policy. How many declines happened? What is the dollar amount of those declines? And more importantly, what is the incremental impact of the recent changes that you made to your policy in terms of additional declines or even additional identities that have been declined by your current change? To complete the picture, we also added some examples of claims that were either declined or approved, so you can always drill down into it and better understand the explainability around the decision. This is amazing. It means there is no more guessing game for you, no more surprises in production. Okay, so that's great. I mean, we created our own custom policy. We added in our business flavor so that the policy is optimized to our own needs, and we managed to test and know exactly how our policy will behave. Now we are ready to publish it. Our custom policy becomes live and starts to fight Casey Houston and all of the other abusers out there. But as you probably know, your business evolves, policies change, and so can your custom rule. At any point in time, you can go back to your custom policy, edit it, tweak it, and refine it the best way you see fit so that the rules are always optimized to your business case. And of course, there is no limit to the amount of policies that you can create. There are many use cases. So we mentioned one use case of declining first-time abusers, but you can also create a use case for declining identities with multiple claims. How about creating a use case where you want to perhaps review some edge cases manually, or maybe even use the tool for approving merchants with high LTV? It is all in the palm of your hands, and there is no limit to the customizations that you can make. I'm super excited to see how you unleash the power of policy using policy decisions. I want you to remember, this is a self-service tool, but you're always backed up with our very strong technology. Use it to test and refine your policies as you see fit, and always make sure that they're optimized to your use case. And you can even use them for preempting first-time abuse, so that's a lot of power. Of course, we are always here to assist and help. I also encourage you to come to the product lab if you have any questions. We're here till the end of the day. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Oren. So, I'm more curious to hear what Dajana has to say about it.
Amazing, amazing. I love to see how far it went from me sending you CSV files every day and you sending us CSV files back with the decision. It's amazing, and it's just great to see just such a progress. But it goes back to what I think Ida was telling at the beginning of the conference, how you listen to the merchant and listen to the merchant, meet the merchant's needs. Thank you.
So yeah, I don't want to commit on behalf of Oren, but again, this is an evolution, and I think places like this make this happen. So to recap, policy is a huge problem. It's everywhere, it's hitting everyone, and it's costing more than just money. It's more than just the losses, it's your brand, lifetime value of your customers, and it's impacting your efficiency. In order to solve it, you have to have the right approach, and we saw Dajana lay that out. But it is great because we see that it is possible. It is possible. With the right tools, with the right approach, there's definitely a way to save money, to reward good customers, to get better collaboration. And this actually becomes a competitive edge. When you can do it right, this is a huge leverage for your business. There is a report that you can download, but please, I know that it's a process. I know that it takes time to get through it, but I do want to promise you this. If you take just 5 minutes of the rest of your day to talk to Oren, to talk to Dajana, after lunch, to go, like I mentioned, to the product lab outside, just right here, and get your own personal demo, you'll be on the right path to solve this for your business. Thank you very much.